You are not bad with money. You understand compound interest. You know you should save. You have read the articles, watched the videos, made the spreadsheets, and yet the savings account sits empty. The credit card balance barely moves. And somewhere between knowing exactly what to do and actually doing it, there is a gap so wide it feels like a canyon. Society has a name for people like you. They call you undisciplined, irresponsible, bad with money. But that diagnosis is wrong. Because the research shows this has almost nothing to do with discipline. It has everything to do with a specific glitch buried deep inside your brain's architecture. A glitch that was never designed for the financial world we live in today. Today, we are going to name that glitch. We are going to look at the neuroscience behind it, and we are going to build a toolkit that works with your brain instead of against it. Let's start with a question. If I offered you $10 right now, or $11 in 1 week, which would you choose? Most people take the 10 immediately, even though waiting 7 days earns them 10% more now. If I offered you $10 in 1 year or $11 in 1 year and 1 week, almost everyone suddenly becomes patient. They choose the 11. The gap is identical, 7 days, $1, the math is the same, but your brain does not treat them the same at all. Behavioral economists call this hyperbolic discounting. Think of it this way, your brain has a built-in telescope pointed at the future, but it is broken. The near future looks gigantic. The far future looks tiny, not just smaller, absurdly, irrationally smaller. That future version of you who needs retirement savings, your brain treats them like a complete stranger, someone you have never met, someone whose problems feel vague and distant and honestly not your problem right now. Psychologists call this present bias, and it is not a character flaw, it is hardware. Here's the neuroscience. Your brain is actually two systems running in parallel. The first is the limbic system. This is the ancient emotional impulsive part. It evolved over millions of years to solve one problem: survive today. Find food now. Avoid the predator now. It has no concept of next quarter. It only understands now. The second is the prefrontal cortex. This is the rational, planning, future-oriented part. It can run a spreadsheet in your head. It understands compound interest. It knows the $11 is smarter. The problem is that these two systems do not share power equally. When there is no emotional urgency, the prefrontal cortex is in charge. That is when you make the budget. That is when you set the savings goal. That is when you feel completely certain you will follow through. But the moment an immediate reward appears, the limbic system floods the brain with dopamine, and the prefrontal cortex loses the vote every time. Neuroscientist Dr. David Leibson at Harvard calls this the empathy gap. The you who is sitting quietly making a plan cannot emotionally access the you who will be standing in front of a new laptop with a credit card in hand. Those two versions of you feel like different people because neurologically they are using completely different parts of the brain. This is why willpower-based budgeting almost always fails. You are asking your rational mind to win a fight against a system that evolution spent millions of years making unbeatable. That is not a fair fight, and it gets worse. And then a research by psychologist Shlomo Benartzi showed something stunning. When people are asked to describe their future self using brain imaging, their neural patterns look almost identical to the patterns activated when thinking about a stranger. Not a friend, not a family member, a stranger. Your brain is literally sacrificing your future self to reward a stranger. No wonder it feels so hard. So what do we actually do about this? We are going to build your toolkit in 3 levels. And before we start, I need to say something important. You do not need all 3 of these. Pick one that feels immediately usable. Master that one first, because a single well-used tool outperforms 5 tools you never reach for. Level 1 is called pre-commitment. This is the oldest trick in the behavioral economics playbook. And it works because it removes the temptation entirely. Instead of relying on your future self to make the right choice in the moment, you make the decision now when your prefrontal cortex is calm and in charge, and you lock it in so your future limbic system cannot override it. The most powerful version of this is automatic transfers. Not a reminder, not a goal, an automatic transfer that moves money to savings the moment your paycheck lands. Before your limbic system even knows it existed, behavioral economist Richard Thaler won the Nobel Prize in part for demonstrating this. When people are enrolled in automatic savings by default, savings rates increase dramatically, not because they became more disciplined, but because the decision was removed from the moment of temptation entirely. The scripted line you need is this: I am not deciding whether to save this month. I already decided last month. Level 2 is called identity reframing. Here's something the research shows that almost nobody talks about. The gap between your present self and your future self is not fixed. It can be shrunk. A famous study asked one group of people to make financial decisions as normal. It asked another group to first interact with an aged, digitally rendered photo of themselves, to literally look at who they would become. The second group saved significantly more, not because of a rule, not because of willpower, but because the future self became real to them. Concrete, a person they could recognize, someone worth protecting. You do not need a fancy aging app. You need to close your eyes and ask one question: what does my life feel like at 65 if I keep living exactly as I am right now? Sit with it, feel it fully, let the limbic system meet the person it is currently betraying. Then ask the second question: what does my life feel like at 65 if I start changing one thing today? That emotional contrast is not a motivational exercise. It is a neurological intervention. You are forcing the two systems into conversation instead of letting them operate in isolation. Level 3 is called friction architecture. Your environment is not neutral. Every time you open a shopping app and it offers you one-click checkout, it is deliberately removing friction. It is engineering your limbic system to win every single time. The solution is to engineer friction back in. This means removing saved payment information from shopping sites. It means installing a browser extension that inserts a 24-hour waiting period before any online purchase above a threshold you set. It means keeping your savings account at a different bank, so the transfer takes 2 or 3 business days. That delay is not an inconvenience. That delay is a moat. When your limbic system says, buy it now, and it has to wait 2 business days, you are giving your prefrontal cortex time to catch up and cast a vote. Research shows that adding even a single extra step to a spending decision reduces impulse purchases significantly, not because you became smarter, but because you changed the architecture of the choice. For those of you who feel like you have tried all of this and the pattern keeps repeating, I want to offer one more layer. Some of us are not just dealing with present bias, we are dealing with scarcity mindset, a concept developed by behavioral economist Sendil Mullainathan. When you are under chronic financial stress, your mental bandwidth narrows, your brain enters a tunnel, and the tunnel has only one direction: immediate relief. In this state, the gap between knowing and doing is not a character flaw, it is a symptom of cognitive overload. If you recognize yourself here, the first tool you need is not a budget. It is a single stabilizing action that reduces the noise. One automatic bill paid, one small emergency fund started, not perfection. Just one stone placed on solid ground, because once the noise quiets even slightly, the prefrontal cortex can breathe, and a breathing prefrontal cortex can actually plan. Here's what I need you to hear. You are not broke because you are stupid. You are not broke because you are weak. You are broke because you have been fighting your own nervous system with willpower alone. And willpower was never the right weapon. The person who builds lasting financial stability does not have more discipline than you. They have better architecture. They have removed the fight from the equation. They have made the smart choice the easy choice. You were never undisciplined. You were unequipped. And now you are not. Start today with one change. Set one automatic transfer. Even if it is $10, even if it is $5. You are not fixing your finances, you are rewiring a broken telescope, and once the image of your future self comes into focus, everything else becomes easier. You are not someone who is bad with money. You are someone whose brain was never updated for a world designed to exploit it. And that is not a personal failure. That is a design problem. And design problems have design solutions. If this video gave you something to work with, subscribe to Unordinary Mind. And if you want to understand the other invisible force quietly shaping every decision you make, the pattern beneath the pattern. Click the video right here. It will show you exactly why your brain resists change, even when you desperately want it. I will see you there.